Good morning, crime community. I got a little emotional yesterday reading about the life of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I'm just going to read a few stanzas from her most famous poem, Aurora Lee. It's in the second book, verse 130, I guess. I'm just going to read a few stanzas. Aurora, let's be serious and throw by this game of head and heart. Life means be sure, both heart and head, both active, both complete, and both in earnest, men and women make the world as head and heart make human life. Work men, work women, since there's work to do in this beleaguered earth for head and heart, and thought can never do the work of love, but work for ends, I mean for uses not, for such sleek fringes, do you call them ends? Still less God's glory as we sow ourselves upon the velvet of these baldaquins held twixt us and the sun. That book of yours I have not read of page of, but I toss. I rose up, it falls calyx down, you see. The chances are that, being a woman, young and pure, with such a pair of large, calm eyes, you write as well and ill upon the whole as other women, as well, what then? And even a little better still, what when? We want the best in art now, or no art. The time is done for facile setting up in minnow gods, nymph here and tritons there. The polytheists have gone out to God, that unity in bests, no best, no God. And so with art we say, give arts divine, direct, indubitable, real as grief, or leave us to the grief we grow ourselves, divine by overcome with mere hope and most prosaic patience. You are young as Eve with nature's daybreak in her face, but the same world you are come to, dearest cause. How done with keeping birthdays saves her wreaths, to hang upon her ruins and forgets, to rhyme the cry with which she still beats back those savage hungry dogs that hunt her down to the empty grave of Christ, the world's hard pressed, the sweat of labor in the early curse has turning acrid in 6,000 years, become the sweat of torture, who has time and hours time, think, to sit upon a bank and hear the cymbal twinkle in white hands, when Egypt's slain, I say, like Miriam sang, before whose Moses? Ah, exactly that. Where's Moses? Is a Moses to be found? You'll seek him vainly in the bulrushes, while I in vain touch cymbals, yet concede such sounding brass has done some actual good. The application of a woman's hand is that where credible, being scarcely spoiled in colonizing beehives, there it is, you play beside the deathbed like a child. You measure to yourself a prophet's place. To teach the living none of these things. Can women understand? You generalize, oh nothing, not even grief. Your quick breathed hearts, the sympathetic to the personal pang, close on each separate knife stroke, yielding up a whole life at each wound, incapable of deepening, widening a large lap of life, the world full woe, a human race. To you means such a child or such a man you saw one morning waiting in the cold. Beside the gate, perhaps, you gather up a few such cases, and when strong sometimes, will write of factories and of slaves. And if your father were a Negro and your son a spinner in the mills, all's yours and you, all colored with your blood or otherwise just nothing to you, why I call you hard to general suffering. That's the world half blind, the intellectual light half brutalized, with civilization half caught the plague in silks from Tarsus, seeking east and west along 1,000 railroads, man with pain and sin too. Does one woman of you all, you who weep easily, grow pale to see the tiger shake his cage? Does one of you stand still from dancing, stop from stringing pearls, and pine and die because of the great sum of universal anguish? Show me a tear, wet as Cordelia's, in eyes bright as yours, because the world is mad. You cannot count. You should weep for this account, not you. You weep for what you know, a red-haired child sick in a fever. If you touch him once, though but so little as with a fingertip, you set will you set weeping, but a million sick? You could as soon weep for the rule of three and compound fractions. Therefore, the same world, uncomprehended by you, must remain uninfluenced by you. Women as you are, mere women, personal and passionate, you give us doting mothers and perfect wives, sublime Madonnas and enduring saints. You get no Christ from you. You verily, we shall not get a poet in my mind. With which conclusions you conclude. But this, that you, Aurora, with the large live brow and steady eyelids, cannot concede to play at art as children play at swords, to show a pretty spirit chiefly admired, because true action is impossible. You never can be satisfied with praise, which men give women when they judge a book, not as mere work, but as mere woman's work, expressing the comparative respect, which means the absolute scorn of excellent. What grace, what facile turns, what fluent sweeps, what delicate discernment, almost thought. The book does honor to the sex we hold. Among our female authors, we make room for this fairer writer and congratulate the country that produces in these times such women competent to spell. Stop there, I answered, burning through this thread of talk with a quick flame of emotion. You have read my soul, if not my book, and argue well. I would not condescend, I will not say, to such a kind of praise. A worthless end is praise of all kinds, but to such a use of holy art and golden life, I am young and peradventure weak, and tell me so, through being a woman. For all the rest, take thanks for justice. I would rather dance at fair in tight rope till the babies drop their gingerbread for joy than shift the types for tolerable verse, intolerable to men who act and suffer. Better far perverse a frivolous trade by serious means than a sublime art frivolously. You, chooser nobler work than either, O moist eyes and hurrying lips and heaving heart. We are young, Aurora, you and I. The world, look around, the world you've come too late is swollen hard with perished generations and their sins. The civilizer's spade grinds horribly on dead man's bones and cannot turn up soil that's otherwise than fetid. All success proves partial failure, all advance implies what's left behind, all triumph something crushed, and a chariot wheels all government some wrong. And rich men make the poor, who curse the rich, who agonize together, rich and poor, under and over in the social spasm and crisis of the ages, here an age that makes its own vocation. We have stepped across the bounds of time, here not to see but just rich man and just Lazarus, and both in torments with a mediate gulf, through not a hint of Abraham's bosom, who being man, Aurora, can stand calmly by and view these things and never tease his soul for some great cure, no physic for his grief, in all the earth and heavens too. You believe in God for your part, i.e., that he who makes can make good things from all ill things, best from worst, and men plant tulips upon dunghills when they wish them finest. True, a death heat is the same as life heat, to be accurate, and in all nature is no death at all. And men account to death so long as God stands witnessing for life perpetually, by being just God, the abstract truth I know, philosophy or sympathy with God, but I sympathize with man, not God. I think I was man for chiefly this, and when I stand beside a dying bed, 'tis death to me. Observe, it had not much consoled the race of mastodons to know, before they went to fossil, that anon their place would quicken with the elephant. They were not elephants, but mastodons, and I, a man, as men are now and not, as men may be hereafter, feel with men in an agonizing present. It is so, I said, my cousin, is the world so bad? While I hear nothing as it through the trees, the world was always evil, but so bad? So bad, Aurora, my dear soul is gray, with poring over the long sum of ill. So much for vice, so much for discontent, so much for necessities of power, So much for the connivance of fear. Coherent is statistical despairs, with such a total of distracted life, to see it down in figures on a page, plain, silent, clear, as God sees through the earth. The sense of all the graves, that's terrible, for one who is not God and cannot write, and wrongs he looks on, may I choose indeed, but vows away my years by means, my aims, among the helpers, as there's any help in such a social strait. The common blood that swings all my veins is strong enough to draw me to this duty. When I spoke, I have no good long on the strand of life, and these salt waters have had scarcely time to creep so high up as to wet my feet. I cannot judge these tides. I shall perhaps. A woman's always younger than a man in equal years, because she is disallowed, maturing by the outdoor sun and air, and kept in long clothes past the age to walk. As well, I know you men judge otherwise, and think a woman ripens as a peach in the cheeks chiefly. Pass it to me now. I am young in age, and younger still, I think, as a woman, but a child may see amen, but a bishop's prayer, and feel the way it goes, and I, incapable to lose the knot of social questions, can approve, applaud, august compassion, Christian slot that shoot beyond the vulgar white of personal aims, accept my reverence. There he glowed on me with all his face and eyes. No other help, said he, no more than so. What help, I asked. Your scorn may help, as nature's self, you say, has scorned to put her music in my mouth because a woman's. Do you now turn round and ask for what a woman cannot give, but what she only can? I turn and ask. He answered, catching up my hands in his and drooping on me from his high-heaved brow the full weight of his soul. I asked for love, and that she can, for life in fellowship, through bitter duties that I know she can. For wifehood, will she? Now I said, may God be witness twixt us two, and with the word me seemed to float into a sudden light above his stature, and I proved too weak to stand alone, yet strong enough to bear such learners in my shoulder, poor to think, yet rich enough to sympathize with thought, incompetent to sing as blackbirds can, yet competent to love like him. I paused, perhaps I darkened at the lighthouse will, then turns upon the sea, as always so. Anything does for a wife, Aurora dear, and dearly honored. He pressed him at once with eager utterance. You translate me ill. I do not contradict my thought of you, which is most reverent, with another thought found so less, and your sex is weak for art. And who, said I, but did honor you by using truth in courtship? It is strong for life and duty. Place your fecund heart in mine, and let us blossom for the world that wants love's colored in the gray of time. My talk, meanwhile, is arid to you. Aye, since all my talk can only set you where you look down coldly in the arena heaps of headless bodies, shapeless, indistinct, the judgment angel scarce would find his way through a heap of generalized distress to the individual man with lips and eyes, much less Aurora. Ah, my sweet, come down, and hand in hand we'll go where you shall touch these victims one by one, till one by one the formless, nameless trunk of every man shall seem to wear a head with hair you know, and every woman catch your mother's face to melt you into passion. I am a girl, I've answered slowly. You do well to name my mother's face, through far too early, alas, hands God's hand did interpose twixt it and me. I know so much of love as used to shine, and that face and another just so much, and no more indeed at all. I have not seen so much love since I pray you pardon me, as answers even to make a marriage within this cold land of England, when you love not a woman, Romney, but a cause. You want a helpmate, not a mistress, sir, a wife to help your ends, in her no end. Your cause is noble, your ends excellent, but I, being most unworthy of these and that, do otherwise conceive of love. Farewell. Farewell, Aurora. You reject me thus, he said. You, sir, were married long ago. You have a wife already whom you love. Your social history bless you both, I say. For my part, I am scarcely meek enough to be a handmaiden of a lawful spouse. Do I look a haggard? Think you? You jest. So you jest. Now, so I speak in earnest, I replied, you treat a marriage too much like at least a chief apostle you would bear with you, a wife, a sister, shall we speak it out, a sister of charity, then must it be, indeed farewell, as I so forewrong in hope and in illusion when I took the woman to a nobler than a man, yourself the noblest woman in the use and comprehension of what love is love, that generates the likeness of itself, and through all heroic duties, so far wrong, in saying bluntly, venturing truth on love, come, human creature, love and work with me, instead of lady, thou art wondrous fair, and where the graces walk before the muse, will follow at the lightning of their eyes, and where the muse walks, lovers need to creep, turn round and love me, or I die of love. With quiet indignation, I broke in with misconceived the question like a man who sees a woman as a compliment of her sex merely. You forget too much that every creature, female as the male, stands single in responsible act and thought, as also birth and death. Whoever says to a loyal woman, love and work for me, will get answers if the work and love, being good themselves, are good for her, the best she was born for, women of a softer mood, surprising by men and scarcely awake to life, will sometimes only hear the first word, love, and catch me up with any kind of work, indifferent, so that dear love go with it. I do not blame such women, though, for love they pick much oakum. Earth's fantastics make, too frequently heaven's saints. To be your work is not the best for, not your love the best, not able to commend the work of work, for love's sake merely, the force me, sir, to be overbold in speaking of myself. I too have my vocation, work to do. The heavens of earth have sent me since I changed my father's face of theirs, and through your world were twice as wretched as you represent. Most serious work, most necessary work, and any of the economists reform, make trade of Christian possibility and individual right, no general wrong. Wipe out earth's fervors of thine and mine, and leave one green for men to play at bowls, with innings for them, and all them indeed. If mortals are no greater by the head than any of their prosperities, what then, unless the art keeps up open roads betwixt and seen and unseen, bursting through this best of the conventions of the best, and speakable, imaginable best, God bids him speak to prove what lies beyond both speech and imagination. And on and on and on and on we go with Aurora Lee. That is just a taste of her poetry, which is magnificent indeed. So we say thanks to Aurora Lee and all the women and children, and we pray for peace in the world again, and like and share and have a nice day. God bless the women and children.